I missed something in the previous video. So again, this is the video from about the email I received from President of Higher Instance or Appealing Court. So not appealing, but appearing court. At least I think that's the right alternative way to say it. From Smederevo. I forgot to address the second reason why they are forcing the submission instead of crime report, and again, this enables them to not just the president, but the president of this court, but also the president of elementary court, Dragan Rogan. I'll create a separate video on that. So when actually this all started by court of prosecution of appeals. So they considered that a submission, and considering my document as submission enables them to invoke this part of court rules document which requires e-signature, and also by the law criminal proceedings they can ask for law signature, but I think for e-signature, but I think that this is not mandatory. I'll check it out. So so they said here, this is law on criminal proceedings about the electronic submission. So it says it needs to have e-signature, but it doesn't say when this e-signature is needed, and I explained that in detail in another video. So in 3 cases you can ask for a signature. So when you are not sure who is the person who sent it, so you're not sure about identity, and why you cannot ask for this signature when crime report is in question is because it can be crime report can be submitted anonymously. So you can submit it by phone or other telecommunication means. So in other words, it can be submitted anonymously. So this is another reason why they are pushing so hard this this story about the submission instead of crime report. Again, this is a major breaking of the law, the most important part of law of criminal proceedings. So this part, the part of crime report, of handling, filing, and storing crime report. So everything starts from here, the whole investigation, everything, and they're breaking that the whole time. So when I send crime report, it's an obvious crime. So for instance, the judge who was in charge faked the notes. I have notes on inheritance proceedings, I have a clear proof, everything is recorded. They're simply ignoring that. They don't even want to mention that. And you, when you send the document like this, you need to state all the relevant data. And here again, I explained that, but I'm explaining it again. They on purpose omit the data, which gives them the room to manipulate the law as much as they want. So, as I said, the crime report can be filed anonymously, and this is why they cannot ask for, you cannot ask for e-signature when crime report is filed. And what I missed here is to show that they know very well my, especially the president of this court, because if she acted properly, the whole scam, the whole fraud with the inheritance proceeding could have been prevented. She was also invoking that part of on e-signature, and she rejected my it was not actually complaint, it was actually it was complaint, and it was at the same time crime report, because crime report, as I showed, and I will show that again, can be, so crime report can be filed to the court as well, so to the police, to non-acting prosecutor. So this is the article 281, and so crime report can be filed to police, non-acting prosecutor, state prosecutor, and to the court. So when I complained about the judge who was in charge for inheritance proceedings, yeah, from elementary court, so higher instance court is in charge of elementary court on everything they are doing. So, and again, this lady is president of that court, of higher instance court or appealing court. So when I sent a complaint, she could not invoke the part of the law on e-signature, because that was a crime report, and she needed to forward it immediately to acting state prosecutor. So she was breaking the law from that time. I think it was the end of 2019. So she waited, I don't know, like several months instead of acting immediately, because this is international crime. I explained before why it is international, and I'll explain the first video, I'll explain again. So it's international because I sent her and this court, higher instance of court, the proof it's international. So this is something they received this is in the beginning of December 2019. So if I go to, this is public, this folder is public. If I go to this folder, so I clicked here, this is their email. Again, I'm explaining this again. This is their email confirming insecure network, insecure connection, but they are asking me for a signature, which is insane. So if I click here, let's close it. So if I click here, I'll go to this folder, and there is folder Interpol, showing that this is international case. She needed to act immediately and to forward everything, at least to Republic prosecution, the highest instance of prosecution, because they are in charge of international crimes, and they needed, or to directly sent everything to International Prosecution Office. So she broke multiple laws at once, and I'll now show. This is the reason why I'm creating this second video. Why they cannot. She cannot ask for e-signature, even in case when the law states it can be asked for e-signature. It is required. So this part of the law of criminal proceedings law. So even if this is submission, which is not, she still cannot ask for e-signature, because as I explained in one of previous videos, I created on the 9th of July, last month of July this year. So in 3 cases you can ask for e-signature. So law on criminal proceedings on submission regarding e-signatures is incomplete. So it needs to state that you can ask for. Let's go back to this part. So I think it's 229. Yeah, so this is again law on criminal proceedings of Serbia, and it says here where is it? Yeah, so electronic submission. So if it is electronic, it needs to have e-signature, but only in certain cases. So this part is incomplete. So only in 3 cases, as explained that, as I said in video I created on 9th of July this year. So only in 3 cases you can ask for a signature, and I explained that I think in November 2019. And this is again in this same folder I shown in on G Drive. I won't explain that again, because as I said, I explained it in another video. Maybe it would be best if I show that video. So this is my channel, and I yeah. So this video explains, this is my channel, explains in detail when you can invoke the law of e-signature. So only in 3 cases, and this part of the law is incomplete because it needs first to state that law of e-signature, and that it can be invoked in certain cases, not in general, not in all cases. And what I wanted to show, I might show this before, but I need to show it again. So they know very well, all the state institutions, because I sent this link of G Drive folder file to all of them. So again, if I open it, so if I open it, and I go to the folder about the autopsy, rated autopsy. This is a folder with emails I exchanged with doctors who were in charge for the autopsy of my grandfather who was murdered. So this is it's here. And it can be seen here in this folder that I received autopsy report by this email. So they sent me state prosecutor sent me this the autopsy of my grandfather using this email. So this is this is autopsy of my grandfather. So they sent me this using exactly the same email. So they cannot request my e-signature if they know my identity, and they cannot send me autopsy because only close relatives can ask for be given autopsy results. So this is private. In this case, in general, it's not. So the fact that I received it means that they know my identity, and the second example, they know my identity very well, is even more important, and this has to do with crime report that police forwarded after I reported them to Interpol. I showed this in previous video, but I'm showing it again. So I sent them, it says here, electronic email. So this is sent by the person who's in charge of the police department in the city of area where my father lived. So it states here, so this is sent a day, 24 hours after I reported top of Ministry of Interior of Serbia for being involved in international organized crime. So they sent that, they forwarded my crime report. I sent, it says here, email. I sent that to police, that report, using email on 22nd of June 2019. So they forwarded the report I sent using the same email I'm sending. I'm using all the time to send all the data to all the prosecution offices, to this very court. To the president of this court, and she ignores that because she never, not just she, but all the other institutions never mentioned that I sent them this Gmail address of this email G Drive folder, because they want to avoid mentioning involvement of Interpol. So Interpol is ignoring me for more than 2 years on international organized crime, so international. So they want to avoid mentioning that at all costs. This is why they are using all of these tricks and so on and so on. So, but however, there was one prosecution which mentioned, again I'll create a separate video on this, which mentioned that there is a G drive folder, but they just mentioned that the address, but not what's in the folder. And it actually goes back to the crime report of notary, who reported me. So notary, together with the elementary court, first tried to steal all my whole property and to give it to a person who murdered 3 members of my family. Let me just find where this is. It's here. So this is the report of this notary from Smederevo. I'll create separate video on this because this is a huge topic. So she reported me for some rubbish. She made up everything, and here it is. So this is the link I sent her. So she mentioned here there is a link to G Drive, and she just says it's a huge documentation about the state institutions that are covering up everything about murder of my family, but she never mentioned the Interpol. So nothing about Interpol. And what is really strange here is that the notary is stating the articles of law of criminal proceedings when she is filing the crime report against me. This is rejected afterwards. So, but she also needed to report all those crimes because they are crimes described in this folder. So this is the same folder I sent her. So maybe I can search for it. So GOWDT. No, I cannot find it. But the point is that that folder had the Interpol Interpol folder. And I'll try to find now. I have her have her folder. Yeah, but before that, before I find her folder, I need to mention another instance of stating that. So there are two instances of stating that there is a G drive folder sent within the email. So the one was notary, and the second one was yeah, here it is. So this is anti-corruption unit of higher instance of prosecution of Belgrade. So this is anti-corruption, and let's see what they have to say. So special unit for anti-corruption. This is 23rd of January 2020. So they are basically, this is I'll create separate video on this. So this is Deputy Prosecutor Bojana Salvic of Special Unit for Anti-Corruption of higher instance of prosecution in Belgrade. So she was acting on my crime report that she falsely, the notary falsely accused me, and this deputy prosecutor figured out she figured out that my crime report should be rejected without giving really any sort of proof. And again, I'll create a separate video on this. Well, actually, there is no link to the folder. Maybe it's to G drive folder. Maybe it's just mentioned. So so notary mentioned it. Mentioned there is G drive folder, but the deputy prosecutor ignores that. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's mentioned just as a folder, not as obviously there is no address. So only the notary gave that address. Of all those prosecution offices and courts, I sent that to all of them. They needed to must have mentioned that by definition of their jobs, so ex officio. They need to mention everything relevant. So for some reason, Interpol involvement is not relevant to them. So I mentioned in my crime report some of the crimes committed by fraud and so on by the notary, and ex officio those, especially because this is notary. So it's sort of an official, like they are considered officials, like police officers and so on. So this prosecution, especially this is anti-corruption unit, they needed to ex officio define all the rest crimes committed by this notary. They haven't. Okay, let's see if I can find if there is any mention of any mentioning of this G drive folder. So the deputy prosecutor just basically stated everything notary stated, and without giving any or examining any proofs or anything. Yes, so she said, she mentioned here it's international organized crime, part of international organized crime, but she avoided to mention Interpol, that folder on purpose, because their masters don't want them to mention that. So, but by not mentioning, she just proved that I'm right. That the one who's really behind this are international institutions, and I explained why. Okay, so she avoided to mention the Interpol, even though she mentioned it's international organized crime. Okay. Now, so again, the deputy prosecutor refuses to mention any of my proofs, any of proofs that I forwarded to I mean that are in G drive folder, because she pretended that folder doesn't exist. Yeah, here it is. So notary found the linked directory, and again she just stating what notary said, yeah, that there is a lot of documentation which she examined, which is not true, because the notary claimed there is no my address, and there is my address in two places, which I will be showing in another video related to notary. So in two places, when I received the autopsy results, there is clearly my address on that document, which is sent by the prosecution. So deputy prosecutor of Higher Instance Court, Higher Instance Prosecution of Smederevo, and the other one is in the folder of elementary court. So there are two instances, two documents with my address, meaning that notary lied. So she said here that I think some crimes are committed, although I gave all the possible proofs there is. I mean, these are direct proofs and official documentation sent to me by state institutions. Most of them are state institutions, so hospitals, prosecuting offices, and so on and so on. Police internal affairs. So again, she's just stating, the deputy prosecutor is just stating the notary that I think that crimes are committed, which is amazing, really. Okay, so again, she just mentioned there is a link to directory, but she avoids, so even the deputy deputy prosecutor. So deputy prosecutor didn't even add this address. So the only one who added the address is the notary, probably because she didn't know what that means, and they could not simply remove it. It was not probably easy to remove it, to hide it. So the state, so anti-corruption, special unit for anti-corruption or higher instance prosecution in Belgrade pretends there is no directory, just mentioned it. There is no directory, or there is some directory which is not important, although that directory contains proofs on Interpol involvement in case of my family of murder of 3 members, monstrous murders of 3 members of my family. So let's see if there is something else about that. Yeah, she misspelled my name, but again I won't go into details because I will be creating another video, separate video on this, because this is a huge topic. There are a lot of crime going on here, a lot of cover up. I mean, it's really amazing that something like this is happening. But the problem is that when I moved everything into the international domain, they simply cannot get away with this. I mean, they're trying, but they cannot succeed. So again, this is another, oh yeah, I needed to check out that email I sent to notary. So this is the last part, to see if actually I don't need this, to see if it contains the link to if it contains Interpol folder with screenshots. It should be here. Okay, so maybe here. No, it's not. Yeah, so this is the one, but I cannot see the yeah, so this is sent to her, Sladjana Bojkovic, and the date is September the 10th, 2019. Okay, so it's Sladjana Bojkovic 57@gmail.com. Yeah, it's here. So should be here. This is something that I tried before, so it was in 2018, to prevent my father from signing anything, as he was demented at that time. And let's see, where is that? Okay. And I also contacted the other notary. So this is the email. let's see if, yeah. So this is the folder. I clicked on it, and I just, so this is final, the first folder, then I created final 2. And let's see, there is Interpol. So this folder contains folder Interpol, which is created, yeah, September the 10th. So when I sent this, email, yeah, September the 10th, the 10th of September, and it contains Interpol folder with my tweets to Interpol because they ignored my emails. Interpol ignored my emails and phone calls. So it's still, this is still in my Twitter account. I think this is pinned. This one is pinned, but everything. Yeah. So this is 8th of July 2019, and 24 hours after that, police acted and they forwarded my email about my crime report. They forwarded to the higher instance of prosecution in Smederevo, and as far as I know, I haven't received any sort of document as a proof that this crime report is rejected. Okay, so the notary knew, and she said that there is some documentation. This is all official. There is huge documentation that I'm claiming the crimes are committed. I'm not claiming anything. These are proofs. So I need to delete this. Should not be here. Okay, can I go back now? Okay, so only one person, and this is basically, she's basically a private firm, so not a private firm, although considered as official, like police officer and so on and so on, but only one person, which is not really a state institution, mentioned this G drive folder, but not she didn't mention Interpol, although she claimed, at least according to deputy prosecutor, that she examined what's here. She didn't examine anything. And as you just saw, but again I will create another video, separate video on this, because this is really insane. It's anti-corruption deputy prosecutor doing this. So you just saw, I just showed that deputy prosecutor on purpose trying to avoid at all costs mentioning that Interpol is involved, that Interpol is mentioned in any context, not just in context of international organized crime. So again, they, by trying to hide this, they just proved without any shadow of doubt that the one who's behind this, who's protecting monstrous murder of my family. And again, I showed it in my channel that she's psych patient. She has some serious issues. So by doing this, by avoiding to even mention Interpol, they proved who is really behind this. And one more thing I need to mention. So it has to do with, again, with crime report. So they are not, this part is especially, actually exclusively for the president of the court. I won't translate it to Serbian because this is meant for state institutions, for international institutions. So I don't need to translate it to Serbian. It's her problem if she cannot translate it. So I'll show here something that they should be doing. So if I go here and look for downloader, so one of the downloaders that still works, it doesn't work anymore, at least the last time I checked. These two doesn't work for uploading downloading the videos. So what they should be doing, all the state institutions that are in charge for receiving crime reports, and I'll show this here, is that they not just need to print everything. 281. Yeah. So it says here, and I'm explaining now what the state institutions, so related, in charge of receiving crime reports of police, non-acting or acting prosecutor, and the court. This is especially important, and the court. So all of them can receive the crime report, and if they are not in charge, they should immediately, and I repeat, immediately forward it to the acting state prosecution. If it is crime which is which should be investigated ex officio, so by the definition of the job of state prosecutor. So it says here, if the crime report is filed electronically, so email, it will be printed and saved in some data carrier, usually CD or DVD, or maybe Blu-ray, I don't know what they're using. So they are not doing this, and it can be examined. I'll show why I'm sure they are not doing this, and it can be examined and proved they are not doing this by the methods of digital forensics. So they're breaking the law again here. This is a major deal. So what it didn't say here is that they need to save all the links, all the data which are on provided links, meaning videos and even articles. So I'll show here, I'm showing here how to save the data, for instance, in from YouTube, because I can file any data from any source, of course, which doesn't contain any source of viruses. So data from any reliable source and secure source. So not just G Drive, not just YouTube, but also Dropbox and so on. So in order to, so they need to save all the data. They needed to save, because I'm sure they haven't saved, as the staff from document offices said, they don't have a connection to YouTube, although they need to have connection to YouTube. So this is one of the add-ons. If you click on it, as most of people know, you will install it, and then when you go to YouTube, the small icon will appear, which will enable you to download the video. So as I said, this still works, but for some reason this and this doesn't work, and of course it needs to be, I haven't tried this, it needs to be recommended. So it's recommended, but this is Firefox, of course. I'm using Firefox. So so the staff from document office need to have the possibility to access YouTube. So they haven't saved any of the data, although they should have done that. This is the first thing. So as the law states, and they also need where there is a speech, they need to provide transcript, Serbian transcript. This is very important. So both for video with audio or just audio. So there should be transcript. They haven't done that so far. And the other thing are articles. They also need to save articles. So I gave some articles, I think it was for some institutions like Tesla Museum or something like that. Let me see. So if I go here and I look for, yeah, this is Tesla Museum, and I think I have some yeah, so here are some articles. All those articles need to be saved. For instance, the article on I showed in previous video about the acting prosecutor. In my case, so he's the acting deputy prosecutor of higher instance of court in Smederevo. So this is the article. So if I go, so if I go if I go here, I can, of course, the whole article need to be saved, but in this case, I'll just save this one. So if I don't know about the other browsers, for instance, in Safari it doesn't work every time. Some pictures are not saved, but again, I'm using the Firefox. So if you go here, as most of the people know that who are using those so-called advanced features, so you can take a screenshot, and of course this should be done for the whole article. Oops. But for simplicity reasons, I'll just show this part. So you click download, and it's downloaded. It's in your download folder, as you can see here. So this is how it should be saved, and then recorded on CD or DVD or burned, that is CD, DVD, or even Blu-ray. I don't know what they are using. So they needed to do that, and apparently they haven't done that, because I know for sure that staff from document office told me they don't have access to YouTube. So I'll add this to the answer that I'm about to send to the president of the court. But as for this video, I think I'm done.